Welcome to the New Atlantean Society. We're your hosts, Anna Rocklina, and
Jedi Hill.
in today's episode, we'll be covering the concept of understanding the mind. What is it?
So we're gonna get into some differentiation and things, and make sure y'all got.
Yes.
There you go. You can see it. Um, Alchemist Master's Path. It's down in the resources. This is my book that took got 7 years to write it and a couple decades of research to pull it in.
Yes, and actually that book, that was the hook. Because Jedi, he gave me this book when he was working on it. He's like, "Hey, read this," and I couldn't put it down. And after reading this book, I almost finished it in one day on Christmas Eve. And I said, "This is it. I want to meet this person."
There you go. She wanted to give me a second chance for a date after she read my book. So, guys, there's your ultimate hook. Go write a book and bring her in.
Yay! Yes, guys, that's how you can get the girl.
Okay.
Oh, you bet us.
So this quote's from Buddha for how I started the book. What you think you become, what you feel you attract, what you imagine you create.
Absolutely, yes.
So you'll hear talk in the New Age circles or the law of attraction and manifestation. They're pulling things from the Hermetic and using bits and pieces. They don't ever try and give you the whole big picture of how everything works. Diving deeper into the Hermetic philosophies. And we do have the Kabbalah down in the resources as well as some other fun books for you to dig into the concept. So we're going to first discuss the difference between brain and mind. Because both are needed, both are going to be discussed. Yes, she pointed out. So the brain is physically what's between your ears. It's a quantum computer, which is why Elon and people like that are trying to, was it Neuralink?
Neuralink, yes.
Yeah, to like tap in so they can make computer servers so we can break out AI using humans as the server and bait, but it's a whole nother story for another day.
Yeah, it's a different topic.
So Tesla talked about Nikolai Tesla, how he knew in like the center of the universe, and there's this great repository of all knowledge, the Akashic records, things like that. And he hadn't pierced all the secrets, but he knew it was there, and he had bits to access it. This is how he would think of what he wants to invent, and then would go into the dreamscape, build all his prototypes, and then come out and build a real functioning prototype just boom, like that overnight.
So how did you do that?
Well, he didn't just discipline his brain, he learned out how to tap into the mind. So you have to see your mind is out here, not in here.
That's the brain.
Yeah, and I know this is a hard concept for some people to get, you hear the voice in your head, and yeah, the one that said, what voice?
Yeah.
Now, eventually, you go in progress, you get to the point where it gets silent, and it just like the background noise just all kinds of blends together, and then you get peace and calm. But, that's a step that takes years of practice.
Absolutely.
So in this episode, we're going to go more into the brain, the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, and how to reprogram it doing the different things. And realize that, don't ever believe a thought in your head. It's probably not yours anyway.
Or it's the ego. Somebody's thoughts or your ego.
Well, yeah, you have the mask of the ego. DARPA, along with, what was the name of the Raytheon, and what was the other big company in DARPA?
I'm not sure, but I know what you're talking about. They did the research, right?
Yeah, there was all kinds of research showing that, and they're using it on the TV and radio and stuff like now, showing specific light and sound frequencies. They can elicit emotions and thoughts in your head. And shoot, we all use these little things to transmit our thoughts and words and voices over great distances. So realize your brain works kind of like the phone, sending
Yes.
and receiving. Your subconscious mind is active and picking up all the information, but your conscious mind can only, it's your tunnel vision, you can only process so much.
Yes, it's a neurotransmitter. Yes.
So, one I had in good here,
Hmm.
we'll get into some of the techniques to remain it, but I wanted to start out with habits because we are creatures of habit.
Habits.
Whether it's brushing your teeth and making the bed in the morning, breaking open a cocktail at 5 o'clock, overeating, whatever the case is, we all have our different habits that we see good, bad, otherwise.
Hmm.
And it is very hard to break a habit. It is much easier to build a new habit that replaces the old.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, to give you the view between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, in the book, I talk about the brain being like a stadium or a ballpark.
Hmm.
So all the information is inside, and you have the ticket booths, are the conscious mind controlling what information goes
Yeah.
in and out of the brain.
Yeah.
But, a lot of time nobody's at the helm, nobody's watching the ticket booth. So, you're just zoned out watching TV or listening to the news.
Hmm. So you're being programmed.
Yeah, you're just letting the stuff in and out without consciously regulating it. Like when I watch a movie, you think about the good and the bad in it. You see what's following universal law. If you have children, you need to be educating them about the movie as they watch it or after they watch it so they don't get the wrong conceptions from the movie when they watch it.
Yes. Yeah.
So those are the things like your subconscious, it's big, fast, and then, your toll booth's narrowing you down is what your conscious mind is bringing the info in and out.
Hmm.
So we'll give you another thing like now your habits. These are your neural pathways. There's a concept known as neuroplasticity
Hmm.
in neuroscience, which basically means you can rewire your brain any way you want. We're not going to go super deep into the vernacular activating system, medulla oblongata, and all these different things
Yes.
because
Reticular activating system. Yeah. Hmm.
you don't really need to understand all that to actually apply it. And I'm trying to
Simplify.
simplify.
To make it easier. Yeah.
So, just so you know, like the
Reticular activating.
system, thank
Yes.
you. This is like, okay, you want to buy a blue Chevy, and then suddenly your brain takes that information and you
See them
start
everywhere.
noticing all the blue Chevys on the road you missed before because you're now focusing on it. So where you put your attention, really directs how you perceive reality.
Hmm.
So now let's imagine you're walking down the woods.
Mm.
You have a nice, worn out, windy path that you walk down, enjoying the breeze. And it ends up over here. You get an emotionally triggered from a coworker ticking you off or something. And that habit leads you down the path to where you're smoking and drinking.
Mm.
Okay, well, now you got to know the trigger. So this time,
Yes.
instead of following that same mental pathway, this time it's like, okay, coworker irritated me. I'm gonna just go outside, breathe some fresh air, and chew some bubble gum. So that time, instead of walking down that straight path, you took a right through the field to end up way over yonder.
Hmm.
Well, you do that once, and okay, the grass is back up the next day. It's like you never did it. But if you force the effort, it normally takes 21 days to create a habit, and there's some shortcuts that we'll get into here later in the video.
In this video.
Yeah.
Ooh, I'm excited. Okay.
So you set up the habit, coworkers irritate you, you go chew gum instead of going for a smoke.
Yeah.
And you do that day after day. And pretty soon the grass for you going to chew the gum is worn down, so the path is easier to feel. and the other path for, the smoking cigarette, the grass is starting to grow up, and you've created a new path to take. So this is the same process of how you're rewiring the neurons in your brain
Hmm.
to create new habits and processes.
Or if you don't want to chew a gum, because it's not good for your teeth, you can just start breathing. And we will down in this course, we will discuss as well the types of breathing and how you can breathe.
Mm-hmm. And I'll give
Reduce
you a
stress.
real simple one, just a few
Okay.
seconds.
Yes.
The phrase is make your exhalation longer than your inhalation. So you want to breathe in for a count of four. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then out for a count of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And you want to do this, 7 or so times.
Hmm.
Breathe deep through the belly. And that will actually stimulate your vagus nerve, which
Hmm.
gets you from your sympathetic to your parasympathetic, your fight and flight, back to your rest and digest.
Yes. I like the rest of that.
Yeah, we all do. And that's where a lot of the people with cigarettes, nicotine is a stimulant, but because you're focused on the breath, you're also calming yourself down, take that deep old drag off the cigarette. And that's where people get the things twisted. You can get 95% of the relief just from the breathing.
Mhm.
So, some of the techniques to reprogram your brain, and it's just, I disappear there on that one.
Jedi's book. Yes. What do you got? Do you want
Practicing
me
a
to
new
read this?
skill.
Yes, practicing a new skill, hypnosis, and we prefer actually self-hypnosis, just for certain reasons, right, sweetie?
Well, okay, the reason for you don't want other people to hypnotize you is
Yeah.
because every time you get hypnotized, you're weakening your will.
Yeah.
Where if you do
Yeah.
your own self-hypnosis, a recording of your own voice, things like that, you can train and actually strengthen your will over time.
Absolutely. Yes. Next one is affirmations, and we'll be discussing on most of the tools in our courses. Mirror work, and we also have music with binaural beats.
Yes. Okay. Binaural beats, to go in that, because not
Mhm.
everybody knows that term. That's where it's playing one sound in one ear and a different sound in the other ear. So if you are tuned at the 440 hertz, which is a more discord, and most of the music is tuned at the 440 in the one ear, and then you have the same music retuned 432 in the other ear, your brain is going to process and you're going to hear an 8 hertz sound, which is a dissonant tone,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll actually put your mind, in that case, the 8 hertz would put you into a theta or a hypnotic brainwave state. So be careful when you're wearing headphones and you got different sounds. That's a lot of that stuff snuck into the music industry.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So the next one is visualizations. There's also a certain way you need to visualize to manifest. Body work, which is massage, osteopathy, and Reiki. And
Mhm.
Jared is an expert. You're trained as a massage therapist and acupuncturist and
Well, I initially trained as a massage therapist, got a 2-year associate's
yeah.
degree, and then I went out to Colorado, met a really cool osteopath and chiropractor and acupuncturist, and I did internships and learned acupuncture, how to align the body,
Oh, yes.
and all kinds of other fun, weird things to transform the energy in the body. And there's a good book called The Body Keeps Score. I can't
Hmm.
remember who the author is off the top of my head.
Yeah,
But
I can look it
your
up.
traumas and things get locked into the body over time.
Hmm.
So using the body work, you can release the traumas,
Hmm.
and so you make the body feel better, and then the mind feels better, the brain feels better.
Yes. Sounds good. So Reiki. And then we also have training muscle memory, like martial arts
Mhm.
and sun gazing.
Okay, sun gazing, we'll definitely go deeper into that one in another
Mhm.
video later, but it's the concept sunrise, sunset time as it's getting low to the horizon.
Yes.
It's safer for you to, take off the glasses and look into the sun.
Hmm.
And it'll actually work on reprogramming your mind, reducing appetite, opening spiritual gifts, and all kinds of other fun things. And I'll talk about a sun gazing protocol here in the future.
Yes. Yes. All right. So those are the tools
Yes.
to reprogram your mind.
The mirror work.
Mhm.
That's the one I was talking about. It's a real shortcut. This is a concept, I'll use the phone in place of the mirror here. So you're looking into the lens so you can see your eyes. And mirrors have this amplification or candle effect. Like if you
Mhm.
put a candle into a mirror, you can see the scene and it'll get smaller, 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 and you'll see more and more candles.
Mhm.
So when you actually say your affirmations properly with emotion and feeling, and you're gazing into the mirror to the eyes, each time you say something can be the equivalent of saying it 1,000 times verbally or more.
Yes.
Like Buddhist monks and things would be able to do this, and you have such a repetition from the reflection in the mirror
Mm-hmm.
that you actually create the new neural pathway, that little billionth of a volt, and zoom, you have a new habit instantly.
So, unless, you know what, unless you have some limiting beliefs and past traumas, then you need to first take care of those and then do your mirror work.
Yeah, because the mirror work can get quite
Yes.
dangerous
Yes.
if you don't know what you're doing. And there's other tips and tricks we'll mention as
Hmm.
time goes on. So
Yes.
we've talked about the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, which rules
Hmm.
over like 95% of your actions, affect your breathing, your perspiration rate, your heart rate. Most things are
Digestion.
unconscious and you really don't have that much control over them. Now,
Hmm.
you can actively work with your conscious mind to reduce your heart rate and affect organs and do these different things, but the moment you stop thinking about it, it goes back to its normal rhythms.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, with most people, your 30 to 50,000 thoughts a day you have are negative and aren't helping you to do what you want.
Yeah. I, I think 8 years ago, that's what my thinking was. I was stuck in this negative pattern of thinking. And I was,
Yeah, because that was back in your court days.
yes, when I was working for the court, that was dark space where I was. Now, I think negative thoughts, maybe I have almost like 15% now.
Okay.
I
And,
catch them like this. I'm like, oh, no, wait, that you don't belong here.
and this is what I'm talking about. The ancients say the price of peace is internal, eternal vigilance.
Yeah, yeah.
You can only be peaceful when you're fully present in the now. Your nervous system's good. You're just flowing through. You're fully present in the moment. And, the reactive mind is shut off.
Hmm.
So you're not having any of those negative thoughts, things like that. That's peaceful.
Yes.
And then when those negative thoughts come in, you need to catch them as they're coming in and rebuke, disprove them, get rid of them.
And there's certain tools you can also utilize to make sure you get that done on a daily basis now. Or
Yeah.
start,
Mhm.
even beginning, if you're a beginner, because this course is for everyone.
Yeah, and that's why we're hitting more of the overviews on this. We're going to keep going deeper as time goes on. There's other modules. We'll go further into each of these topics.
The tiers.
Yep, and keep expanding it.
Hmm.
Um,
And you also wanted to discuss the mind,
oh yeah. The three functions of mind that most people do. You have meditation, which is just your opening up and listening and just letting your thoughts flow through without holding on to them.
hmm
Then you have concentration, like when you're studying for a test
hmm
and you're really focused.
Yeah.
So you have one's expansive, one's contractive, and then you have the middle one, which would be your introspection or your contemplation, which is where instead of having your awareness external, you're pulling it in to look within on the aspects of yourself. Like, how did I do today?
Yeah, at the end of the
What could
day.
I have done
Yeah.
better?
Hmm.
And doing that little bit of introspection, it makes life so much better long term. You keep evaluating, you keep growing on a daily basis, and you just transform a little bit every day.
Day by day.
And then suddenly you look back 6 months or a year later, you're like, I don't even recognize who I am anymore. Like I've really grown. And your
Yeah.
friends and everybody else will notice it too.
Yeah, some of them will not be resonating with you, and others will.
Hmm. Yeah, and please, for the love of God, don't just throw people and friends and family out of your life just to throw them out.
Yeah.
You know, the ones that aren't meant for you will naturally fall away because, you know, it's like you get that friend like, oh, they knew you 20 years ago. It's like, you changed. And I'm like, I'm really sorry you didn't. You went 20 years and you're still the same person you were back in high school.
Yeah. And that's why we're here. So that's the goal, to open up the mind for those who are still the beginners
Yeah,
or
step by
continue
step,
on the
and
growth.
wherever you're on the scale, our God-given creative energy is one of our most powerful gifts, visualization. So,
Absolutely.
in the last video, you know, I was talking about how a lie will weaken the system. If you haven't watched the one on mentalism, go back and watch that one. But you have the concept of anything you want to do in life. You first have to have the imagination and build it. And this
Yes.
is what they
Imagine
try
it.
and beat out of you in school. They want workers to be just smart enough to push the button or watch the news, do what they're told, and not question why.
Soon you even don't need to do that because the robots will be pushing the button. So we need to wake up. People need to wake up.
Yeah, yeah. Your only defense from what is coming
Yes.
is
To wake up and rein in your mind.
yeah.
Just like I did a few years ago.
Okay. So we're gonna do. Give me just a sec here. We're gonna have a little fun with you.
Ooh, you didn't tell me about this. Something interesting is happening.
Always got to sneak extra.
I know, right?
Okay. So you have something in your imagination, and this is a very big concept that you need to think from the thought, not to it. As I was saying, you need to think from the thought, not to it. Now, both of us invest in real estate. You know, I've got the new Atlantis developments with the HIP system. Yeah. Okay. So you get these little blocks and move back and forth. And this is what we're going to build, the islands, houses, and all of modern civilization is going to be built from those blocks at some point. Now, let me give you this concept to think from the thought, not to it. So many people get stuck in like, oh, I'm just going to wander and weave from day to day. But as Solomon said, you know, without vision, the people perish.
Yes.
So you really got to figure out where you want to go in your life, what you want to achieve, and use your God-given creative energy to help you make it so. So let's start with the thought. Remember, and then go backwards. So the thought is, you think from the thought. You want a house. Well, what does a house have? It's got doors, it's got windows, it's got roof. And you see it in your mind and you completely visualize it. And then you might do something like I just did here and draw it and put it on a little piece of paper. So now you've taken it from your mind, from your brain, put it on paper. You know, this would be bigger blueprints and things like that. And you have your thought of, I want to build a house. I've got this empty plot of land. And, you know, you start, okay, I build the foundation, dig in the dirt, takes forever. But if you don't have the solid foundation, it all comes crumbling down anyways.
Yeah.
And then, boom, you start getting the stilts. It goes up the sides, top, and pretty soon you have a house. But it all starts with thinking from the thought of the house, taking it from your imagination and bringing it to reality, and then taking the actions and steps to actually physically manifest it.
Yes, this is what we're doing with the New Atlantean Society as well.
Yeah, that's what we got.
Thought.
You here as potential New Atlanteans,
Yes.
Those who believe in freedom and are the true truth seekers that, you know, just want to make a better world. That's where we're at. So that gives you a little bit on mind versus brain, conscious, subconscious, and some different tools you can use. And again, make sure you go read the book.
It's magic.
I
Like
go
science magic.
Yeah, I'm going a lot deeper.
Scientific magic.
Like just a chapter on mentalism, on the mind here. You know, I've got stuff on the map of consciousness, the law of substitution. You know, the conscious mind can only hold one thought at a time.
Sneak peek.
Yeah, like look into that, go into the resources. We'll be using this stuff as we go along. But with the law of substitution, you can only hold one conscious thought in your mind at a time. So when you start having a negative thought, think of the opposite. Like, oh, I'm stupid. And it's like, no, you're not. You're intelligent, you're smart, you can do anything you set your mind to. You flip the thoughts around and keep moving forward.
Yes, and it's good to actually put that down on paper as well because your mind registered it better. So you say, "Oh, I'm not intelligent," or and you just cross it out and say, "I'm intelligent," and you burn it. And you also look for things that you've accomplished in your life. I was like, wait a second, if I'm not intelligent, then all those things that I've done throughout those, I don't know, 30, 40 years, they're nothing? No, they are. You've been successful. That means you're intelligent.
Yeah, it takes a step by step.
Or smart, clever, whatever it is you want to put.
So this is the first episode on understanding your mind. Get here, and then next week we'll continue with module 3.
Exciting.
So step by step, this is Jedi and Anna signing off.
Peace.